In this week's video, we're talking about teaching inspiration of the Bible. I'm Laura Siemens and you're listening to Kidsman. Before we get into this video today, there's two things. One, this is a little piece of a much larger talk I give called Teaching Theology to Kids. One of the things I love to hear is when I hear back from churches I've spoken to and that they've actually implemented the ideas I've given them. After a year, they're starting to see the return on the investment. Children have a deep understanding of key principles of theology. We need to remember that kids are capable of learning so much more than we think they are. And the second thing I want to say is a lot of the things I recommend come from the series called What's in the Bible by Phil Vischer. And I highly recommend getting that series and using the definitions that Phil uses. They're simple, they're kid-friendly, and they're easy to remember. All right, in this episode, we're talking about the inspiration of the Bible. So first of all, what is the definition of the inspiration of the Bible? Well, the definition is God breathed into people the ideas of what to write. Do not go into a big, long, boring rant with little children about the inspiration of the Bible and what that means. Children learn language by hearing a word used often, so the words inspired of the Bible, we want to use inspiration of the Bible, those words as often as possible. And every time you say inspiration of the Bible, then you say immediately after, remember, inspire means that God breathed into people the ideas of what to write. So when do we teach this concept? Well, one obvious time to teach this concept is when we are learning a verse. So when I'm teaching a verse, I always have either a slide on the screen with my PowerPoint, or I have a visual aid with the verse on it. And when I'm presenting the verse, I'll say something like this. Now, I made the slide up there, but I make mistakes all the time. So I want you all to read aloud from the slide, and I'm going to read from my Bible. That way we will know if the slide is correct, because the Bible is always true, because the Bible is inspired, and that means that God breathed into people the ideas of what to write. So on the count of 3, you read out loud from the slide, and I will read from the Bible. So right there, I've taught 2 key concepts in a matter of 30 seconds. The inspiration of the Bible and that we can trust the Bible. So I do this every single time I teach a memory verse. So teaching these kinds of concepts to children works when you teach it often and in really short intervals. Okay, the second time that I would teach inspiration of the Bible is when I'm introducing a song. So if there's any lines in the song that comes directly from a passage in the Bible, then I'll have that passage marked ahead of time. And I'll have a child come up and read that sentence from the Bible. And I would say something like, what Johnny just read comes from the Bible. It's inspired. And that means that God himself breathed into people the ideas of what to write. Now, when we get to that line in the song, remember that you are singing the words that God himself breathed. Let's sing. So once again, you're looking at less than 30 seconds of teaching, and I've taught the concept of the inspiration of the Bible. So an obvious place to teach the inspiration of the Bible is when you're teaching the Bible story, which you better be teaching Bible stories in your Kidsman. Unfortunately, sometimes the Bible story is getting left out of our curriculum. We need to make sure that every single time the children come to your church, they are actually hearing a Bible story. So when we are teaching the Bible story, we teach the inspiration of the Bible this way. We'll have our Bible open in front of us. And this is key, so that the children need to know that this is actually a story from the Bible. You can do this all the way down into the even preschool areas. Not only should you have your Bible open, you should even read a small portion directly from the Bible. It could just be one sentence, a sentence that Jesus said or a sentence that another character said. Nothing long. You don't want to sit and read the whole thing from the Bible, but you want to find like one small part, one sentence or 2 sentences you can read directly from the Bible as you're telling the story. And again, as you were saying that, then as you're reading that, we'll remind them that this story comes from the Bible, so we know that it's true because the Bible is inspired, and that means that God breathed into it God breathed into people the ideas of what to write. The next really important thing that kids have to know is that we trust the books of the Bible because they are in the Bible. And God inspired not only what was written in the Bible, but also the process of how we got our Bible. So the process of deciding what books went into the Bible, children need to know that. And this is a concept to teach as you move into the upper elementary age and into junior high. Our children need to know how we got our Bible. This is another session that I teach called Teaching History to Kids. And this session I spent a lot of time emphasizing how and why we need to teach our children how we got our Bible. I plan on doing a series on that in the near future. So if you subscribe to this channel, then you will get updates and you'll know when that series comes in. I'd also love to come and speak to your church on these two topics, on teaching theology to kids and on teaching history to kids. And you can learn more about my speaking ministry at my website, lauraleesiemens.com. It's right here on the bottom of the screen. And you also would see on the website there how to contact me. So I'm Lauralee Siemens, and you're watching Kids Bin.